President Ambassadors, Superintendent Hugo Miles, board members and parents, good evening. As friends of our school library, we are here again to voice our concern over the closing and downsizing of our public school libraries in the city of Elizabeth. Again, we say to you young children, need real books and a certified librarian in each school library. As certified librarians need to guide students through the research process and help match student reading level and interest. Studies show that the more emphasis is put on school libraries and the learning that takes place there, the better standardized test scores. Books are wonderful treasures to be shared, discussed, and enjoyed. Because every time we read, no matter what we read, we are exploring the world. And Carnegie deep belief in the power of books and libraries to change the world still holds for the 21st century. Now, Dr. Orlando's quote is, education, those who dare to educate will never stop. Learning education is never in the process. What we are doing, how are we going to keep his legacy alive if we're going to close all the libraries in the schools? When I went to school, that's how I learned. I was in the school library. As I got older, this card, the public library, you don't know how much this card means to me. I've had this card, I'm not going to tell you how many years, but I'm going to tell you I have 5 great-grandchildren. I am so proud of this card. No one has any idea how proud I am of this card, because I have explored the world without even leaving my home. So this is what I want for the children. So if we take this away from the children, what kind of future are we really going to have? So when you pick up a book, you put yourself in the midst of those books, no matter what we read. When I read, I love reading. I got books, tons of books, but that's not what I'm here for. Reading is so important, not what you see on the screen and what other people show you, just because you can put yourself in the midst of everything. Again, I want to thank you for allowing this time.
Thank you.
No, only
One person, you're next.
No, only she was the only one who signed up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next to the microphone, Ms. Alina Alvarez. Ms. Alina. Next to the microphone, Christina Marrero.
Good evening. I want to discuss the recent lead test results, but first a little history. On July 13th, the State Board of Ed adopted regulations for testing lead in drinking water at public schools throughout New Jersey. They stated, the potential exposure to lead-contaminated drinking water poses serious health problems, particularly for children, as well as for teachers and school personnel. The department proposed testing program be immediately instituted at all drinking water outlets and food preparation sources in all public education facilities in the state. So just to clarify, this is not something this district did because they wanted to, it's because they had to. Testing that myself and Maria Lorenz have been advocating for since we found out about the results of the 2013 testing, which parents, to this day, have not received results for. We, at Elizabeth Parents and Students Care, did open request the results, and after several attempts, finally received them and shared them with the public. On August 25th, this district received the results of the 2016 testing. On September 2nd, I emailed the board attorney, Mr. Williams, that I did not see the results posted online. He responded that he had, and material would be made available the next week, and he would make sure I received everything directly. I never heard back from him. On September the 6th, I emailed the superintendent and the board president asking that the results be posted and distributed to parents. The next day, the board president responded saying that they were on the district's website. I emailed her back asking where exactly because I could not find them. She never responded. So on the 13th, I OPA requested the results from the district. 8 days later, Mr. Kennedy emailed me stating the results were on the district's webpage. I asked when was that posted since I had not seen the results. He responded on September the 16th. This is 3 weeks after they received the results. This is not what I would call posting the results immediately as the state mandates. And I can only conclude that it was only after I OPA requested the information that the district put up the complete results as opposed to a video with limited results. My children attend School 21, and I have yet to receive those results from the school. What action was taken there and what alternate sources of water were provided? Were principals given the results? Were they instructed to send it home to parents? There are only 4 schools in this district that have no detectable levels. Where is the transparency that this new majority speaks of? Let me also say this. In a conversation I had with the vice president of this board, I expressed my concern that the results had not been released to parents. She stated that the results had been released. She did not know how many different ways I wanted her to do it, and she had said that it was a dead issue and I needed to let it go. Well, it is not a dead issue to the thousands of parents in this district who have not received the results, who have been drinking water out of this fountain. The regulations also state that the district is...
And for the record, I don't use the word dead issue. Thank you.
When will you release it to the parents?
Thank you.
Bye.
At this time, I'm going to have Ms. Seema Farris, please. Harry Farris.
Good evening. So, the water issue, thanks. I feel concerned because I clicked the button on the district's website and I saw very alarming numbers. 15 water sources at one school. Halsey and Dwyer had over 25 water sources with unacceptable lead levels. Our kids drink this stuff. In March, somebody up here was asking for water testing. Kids were going to school all summer. Things weren't changed. Hopefully they were changed. It doesn't even say they were remedied. However, unacceptable levels of lead have been in the schools. The schools have been open. School 1 was open all summer long, and those kids were drinking leaded water. Unacceptable levels. 1 in 9. Edison was cooking with it in the water source. It's unacceptable. It's right on your website. So I feel the need the same way. Unfortunately, I respect you all, but the same way you turned your back on the district students and employees and staff who had to drink with the water and cook with the water, I feel the need that, you need to respect us and have us drink an alternate water source at that time. It's not safe. Number 2, the other day with what happened, that tragic event, it's very concerning. I don't think schools should have been closed. However, at the same time, I think it should have at least been a delayed opening to allow for the building to be adequately checked, for all the buildings to be checked, since the time frame was at the same time kids were going to school, walking to school. Students who went to Hamilton were walking in that very area surrounding where these searches and the bomb area under the trestles were going, had detonated early hours earlier. So I think that's a very big concern to many parents. And lastly, the library issue. Library services by the federal government, grants are available. We've been speaking on this. I emailed the board president. She was kind enough to respond to me and tell me that library services are only available in our district from grades K through 3rd grade. Students in 4th grade through 12th grade don't have a librarian, don't have library services, have limited access, only project-based. To me, that's not acceptable. To any parent, I don't think that's acceptable when there are free grants available and services. And I asked for at least a dialogue, if you're willing to sit down, and maybe meet with a few parents and concerned members of the community and see how we may be able to partner to get free services if they're appropriate for the district. There are grants, there's alternate funding available. President Obama has put in place essential library services. Are you looking to see if the clock's done so I stop talking? I'm sorry. So I just hope that, if you have time to dialogue, there's some concerned citizens and parents that would like essential library services for all grades, and it's free. So I thank you for your time. And please, alternate water.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to have Ms. Anna Texteria. Please. You requested a translator? Okay, I'm going to have Melanie come. Thank you. Can you put 6 minutes on the clock, please? Thank you.
Buenas tardes a todos.
Good evening, everyone.
Primero que le voy a decir es que estoy helada de frío.
Just want to let you know that I'm freezing.
No sé si es la escuela o si soy yo.
I don't know if it's outside or if it's me.
Es exactamente lo contrario al punto al que vengo a hablarles.
It's exactly the opposite of the point that I want to make tonight.
Este lunes pasado en la escuela 15
Last Monday at School 15,
tuvimos la primera reunión de PTO del año.
we had the first PTO meeting of the year.
Gracias a Dios vinieron muchos padres,
Thanks to God, we had many parents,
pero estábamos en un horno
but we were in an oven
porque el aire acondicionado del gym
because the AC in the gym
estaba apagado.
was off.
Yo pregunté por qué
I asked why,
y ellos me respondieron de que para tener el aire acondicionado
and they responded that in order to have the AC,
teníamos que mandar a pedir un permiso a ustedes,
we needed to put in a request,
por lo menos con un mes de anticipación,
at least a month in advance,
porque
to the board,
no podíamos tenerlo encendido.
because they just couldn't have it on.
Okay, me parece ridículo si es verdad.
I think it's ridiculous if that's the truth.
Y quisiera por favor si se puede solucionar esto
And I would love
para
for
las
it to
próximas
be
reuniones.
resolved for the
Y como
following
el
meetings.
año que viene, en el 2017, la escuela Christopher Columbus
And if for 2017, Christopher Columbus
va a celebrar sus 100 años,
will be celebrating its 100th year,
sería una gran oportunidad
it would be a great opportunity
para darle una buena renovación para que en su cumpleaños esté más linda.
to renovate it so that in its birthday it can be beautiful.
Nuestros estudiantes puedan estar confortables en sus salones, los maestros también,
So that our students can be comfortable and the teachers as well.
para que estas situaciones al fin sean iguales para todos.
So that it's equal for everyone.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to have Ms. Maria Lorenz come up to the mic, please.
Good evening. I want to talk about lead as well. It's unfathomable that there's drinking fountains that are 480 level, a kitchen that has a level of 629, a bathroom 3010 lead level, classroom of 7,165, and a teacher's lounge of 103 lead level. That is respectively 32 times, 42 times, 200 times, 478 times, and 6 times the legal limit. I recall there was a school that this board donated water to. Actually, it was the city, it was Flint, Michigan, and it was at School 30 that you so graciously donated water to Flint, Michigan. However, I come to tell you that you failed your students. You have gone without making a decision, having them continue in summer schools and drinking waters out of some of these schools, and not provided an alternate source of water. That is embarrassing. That is not what I elected you all to do. And you should be all very much ashamed of yourselves. I remember there was one particular board member that said, why don't we include bottled water? And no one here flinched. But we have money to pay political strategists. We have money to pay lawyers. We have money to pay forensic accountants that cannot produce 1 single cent of a return on the taxpayer investment. I also want to talk about politicking. It seems to be an issue. It has come to my attention that a board candidate was able to attend a pep rally that was meant for teachers and staff. That is not appropriate, that is not acceptable, and I don't think any of you look forward to any more ethics charges. I also understand that there was a table set up at a football stadium that is directly attached to a school and that there were flyers put out on this table. I would appreciate that the next time you invite Ms. Marrera, that you invite Ms. Farage, and that you invite me, who's running for board this year, so that we can also put out our flyers, so that it can also be distributed out. I also want to talk about AIDS in the classroom. I know a lot of you run on the special needs platform. There seems to be an issue. A lot of people aren't getting their AIDS due to Source for Teachers, or you're switching their AIDS. And I don't think you need me to tell you that after 3 years of speaking here, how vital it is not to disturb a child's aid in a classroom. So I again implore you for the 4th year to please do something about that. And one more thing, I don't think custodians should be sweeping schools for bombs unless they have the same training as security guards. You have lost 13 security guards in the last 3 years, and you haven't replaced any but 6 tonight. 3 years that you've had 13 down on security guards.
Thank you, Ms. Lorenz.
You're very welcome, Ms. Madden.
4.
At this time, I'm going to call Ms. Maria Medeiros, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Let's start in December 14, 2012, when we had kids up into school that didn't think that anything was going to happen, an ordinary day. Okay? And then all of a sudden somebody comes in and starts shooting up a school. That's the day it could have happened on Monday, when you decided to send our kids into school. 2013, Boston bombing. When they did not capture the guy, they put the whole city on lockdown. From my understanding, this guy was not found. So that should have happened in Elizabeth. Terrorists don't come only in one, they come in many. So when you are looking, from my understanding, they had found 5 others. You took a chance with our children. And most of you don't have children up here. It's not a bad thing, I'm not saying it. But you played with the lives of many of our children. Then you turn around and says, we're doubling on security. Who are you kidding? We don't have enough security now. You turn around and says custodians are gonna fight? With what, spray bottles? What are they gonna do? Turn around and come out and spray a bottle? I'm not trying to be funny. But you know something? My grandkids didn't go to school. A lot of these kids didn't go to school because we could not trust your judgments. 2012, remember, all those kids didn't have a warning. And many of them and teachers lost their lives. And you put our children in jeopardy. God, thank God nothing happened. But how about if it did? How about your misjudgment cost the lives of our children? How are you going to explain it? Cosgrove is the last person I want to hear. He wouldn't even let the Elizabeth Police Department go to a training at Jersey Garden Mall where they were training the departments. Linden went. Others in the city was able to go, but not in Elizabeth. To a training of something that could have happened, and he did not permit it. He didn't even let the Elizabeth Police Department get the right training that was free, that the FBI was giving. And we're going to take a word of him? No. Never again am I trusting you with my grandchildren. Thank you.
Our last speaker, Ms. Maria Echevarria.
evening, everyone. I'd like to say I second everything that everybody was saying. Okay, they do need libraries. The whole thing, maybe a delayed opening would have been nice. But to be honest, most of these terrorists, whatever things, to me, it's all an inside job anyway. But there's also your case managers, okay? These case managers are doing things behind doors without telling a parent, okay? I went to my meeting, and I went to go sign off on paperwork regarding my daughter's out-of-placement, district out-of-placements, and she told me that I didn't have to do the third one that she recommended. I had 2 schools lined up, she had a school lined up, and I didn't have to sign off on it because she had a blank one that was supposed to be for like form care or something else to send out information to, where she chose not to do it. So make sure I already spoke to her, and she threw Mr. Malik, by the way, under the bus, trying to say it was him, and that's not true. It wasn't Mr. Malik. I didn't sign no paperwork with Malik. I signed it with the case manager. Okay, I know who I did something with. The last time I had a meeting with her was back in June until this month. Okay, she's claiming that it happened in August. There was no meeting. And so make sure anything that got my name on it for a release form, you shred that. Okay, because if she's gonna do something conniving like that and then try to turn it around on somebody else, okay, the supervisor of because Malik is the supervisor, that's just foul. Thank you.
At this time, I close the public comment portion of the meeting. I'm going to ask Mr. Cotto to come up and make a few comments, one regarding the lead, but then also regarding the AC request that the parent has said about school 15, please. And just explain just the process of that air conditioning, please. Thank you.
Yes, the testing started, when the testing started, we asked the consultants to start as soon as they know the results that they communicated to us. The minute we got a result of an outlet that exceeded the limit, it was shut down. After the testing was completed, now we are in the process of remediation. In one school, we took 10 of those faucets, replaced the faucet, replaced the plumbing with stainless steel flexible connector, and the valve, retested, and they passed. We're in the process of ordering and receiving components so we can do the remediation in all the other places. We also did all the faucets for the kitchens. We installed filters that certified 99% lead reduction. So that's what we did. In some of the classroom sinks that had to remain open, we opened them up with a sign, do not drink, not fit for drinking, only for washing. And that is the situation we are. Also, we did some filters in some of the drinking fountains, but we have not received the media or the filters that we want, which are filters that are certified by the National Association, and that they remove at least 95% or more of the lead. So this is an ongoing process of receiving components and changing them as we receive them. We will remain, the faucets that exceeded the limit will remain closed until we do the retest, and only after the testing we will open them again. Since in most schools there were only a handful of drinking fountains, actually, like leaving them shut down will not deprive the students or the staff of water. In other words, there is enough other outlets that they can drink water from. And that's where we're at now. We are in the process of remediation, replacing faucets, replacing components, and retesting, and only after that we will reopen anything that exceeds the levels. That's where we're at. On the air conditioning issue, an air conditioning system for a school goes between $2–3 million, depending on the size of the school. Maybe a larger school, even $4 million. And that's the reality that we're with. Our budget is limited. We have about 10 old schools that do not have air conditioning. So you're talking about, and you're going to do one or the other, or all of them, you're going to incur into a substantial amount of money, and that's where we're at. Adding window units appears to be a very simple thing, but it's not. For a classroom, you need at least 3 tons of air conditioning, meaning you need 2 large size units that what we'll do is we'll overload the service of the school, so we need to not only put the window units, but we need to upgrade the electrical system of the school. Then we need to run internal wiring from panels, additional panels in different parts of the school. We have to run then all the wiring to those panels, and from those panels to each classroom. We will need to put brackets that are safe enough, so they're not going to fall in the kid that is outside in the yard. So we need to do openings on the windows, put brackets that are very safe. And then at the same time, we need to put some kind of a safety grading, because otherwise that will be an entry point for anyone to get into the school. And that's unsafe. Then a project of that magnitude will probably be over $1 million. And in addition to that being a capital project, we got to get DOE approval. DOE normally requires that we provide 15 cubic feet per minute of fresh air per each occupant. The window units do not provide that. So that would be also an issue with that. And in addition to that, if we do air conditioning to 10 schools, we will have to add to our budget another $500,000 to $600,000 a year in electric consumption. So putting all of that together, we would love to air condition all the schools, but it's something to do with funding.
But now we will have to new schools.
Thank you, Mr.
I
Cordero.
want to ask you a
I'm
question.
sorry, I have
Bobby.
a question for
I
you.
just
I'm
have a
sorry,
question.
just one more question. Just one more question. I would like to know how long takes the whole process for the water? I mean, our kids can drink safe water.
I'm gonna have Olga just answer.
The whole
that.
process, I would like to know just an estimate time.
We didn't hear the question, Anna Maria.
I'm sorry. How long will be the estimate time for the whole process of the water, for the water?
I would say between receiving the parts and doing the work, maybe 6 weeks, something like that, in which every outlet will be within the limits.
And Mr. Cotto, what I would like to also add is the fact that once you received the report on August 24th, you made it a priority in your department to ensure that every water fountain, every kitchen, food prep area was remediated by September 6th. So I'd like to share that with our school community, that was
Actually,
a priority
we
in
did
the
it.
department.
We actually shut them down as we received one by one. We didn't wait for August 24th.
Correct.
We received some as early as the first week of August, second week of August. As soon as we received the results, we shut them down. So it was an ongoing process.
Correct.
On that August date was the final school that we got. So we had then the whole results. But as we received them, we shut them down. So they were safe. By the start of the school, every outlet that had a high level was shut down. And some of them were remediated, but we still left them shut down until we were able to retest. So that's the process we are in. Because not only you have to receive the parts, do the repair, we would not open it until we get them tested again and receive the results, which usually takes about 4 weeks. So that's the time of the remediation, but probably we would need to add to that, whatever time it is to do the sampling and receive the testing from them.
But you took every precaution by ensuring that the first measure that was taken was to shut down that
Sure.
water source.
So that-
Then, in the process of remediation, once you retested, only then was that water
Exactly.
source opened.
That's our protocol.
Well, you need to
Correct.
inform the parents now. You need to send letters out to the parents.
So I can share with you with regard to how it is we communicated with our school community.
By video.
The schools that were affected, as listed in our PowerPoint presentation that was made available on our website, there were a total of 12 schools. Parents of those 12 schools received letters on September 8th. September 8th being the first day of school when our children returned. So letters were sent
That's a
home.
lie.
And also, were also communicated electronically to the parents of the schools that were reported as having testing results as it relates to the water fountains and as it relates to the food prep areas. The raw data is made available on our website, so every parent is able to go onto our website and review their respective schools' data. And we also have a summary of the data that was provided by Mr.
Also,
Code.
let me tell you that raw data is the first pass. There is a review process that we have to do with the environmental company because sometimes it's issued as a protocol, it wasn't followed well, or so on, the decision might be made, we need to retest some of the outlets. So actually, the regulations say that after review, then you present it, immediately you present the data. But we haven't had the time to really review everything with the environmental company. We haven't received the final report yet from them. But we were proactive in the sense that we still always in raw data as we received it, even before we are able to analyze it in a complete, as a complete report.
Thank you, Mr. Cotto.
I want to thank you, Mr. Cotto. I just want to say something, Mr. Cotto. Is it fair to say that for 3 years,
can't,
our children have
actually,
been
no.
drinking out of these
Ms.
water
Lorenz,
points
Ms.
without
Lorenz, I'm
any
sorry.
data at all,
I'm
correct?
sorry. Thank you.
that
At
a
this time, I'm going to ask I'm going to ask our superintendent just to make comments about the library issue that we were discussing earlier. please.
Madam President, I'd like to make a comment about and ask Mr. Cotto some questions about the water issue.
Go ahead, Mr. Trujillo.
Mr. Cotto, I'd like to ask you a few questions if you would indulge me, please. It is my understanding, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that the testing didn't start till August 17th, which was the day of the last meeting when you came and gave your presentation. Is that correct?
No, the testing started around July 13th, was it?
July 13th?
Somewhere around there.
Okay. On July 13th, we started to test district-wide. Okay. And this is you understand this. I've been a critic of the process. I've been very concerned about this. Apart from my children attending the schools, I don't like the way we did this. I think we could have done a better job. And I have several concerns. In particular with 2 schools that I saw the raw data on, and the magnitude, there's 5 water fountains in school 1 that were tested for high lead. School 1 now is no longer the school 1 that we all knew it to be, because now the building houses 2 schools. It shares its space with school number 9. So we're talking about a much smaller building. How many, when you say school 1, are we talking about the whole building? Okay, great, thank you. How many water fountains altogether in school 1? Okay, approximately. 10, 30? 30 water fountains.
40 maybe.
Okay, that's fine. But 5 have been dispensing water, and we don't know how long, because the last time we tested was 2013.
That's right.
Right, so from 2013 till now, have we done the remediation at 5? I mean, at school 1, those 5?
School 1 is the school that we did 10 faucets that we remediated and retested, and they are They are passing.
Okay, so from 2013 to approximately sometime in August, when we started to get the first date, I don't know the exact date for school 1, right, those 5 fountains, because you're telling us that as soon as you got it, you went in, you shut them down, and wherever possible, you had the pieces you remediated. So somewhere between 2013 and now, in August, when we got these results, those water fountains and those food prep areas in school number 1 were servicing our children, and our children were drinking from those fountains.
Even before that, about 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, they were still doing that.
Okay, I wasn't here then.
Also remember, when we tested in 13, it was a different protocol too.
I agree. Now we tested everything.
There's a different protocol.
It's great.
The amount of water taking, there are a few things.
Is it fair for me to?
But in 13, we got a clean bill of health.
From all of them? Or did we test these water fountains?
From all of them.
From everyone? Okay.
All drinking fountains, we tested it on 12/3.
Great.
And everything was passing.
Great. So, let's forget 2013 then, because we'll talk, I'll give you that, okay? In March of this year, okay, many wanted to test the water. The attorney, our board attorney, advised us that it wasn't a good idea to do that, because there was talk in Trenton about creating a protocol and creating a way to reimburse the district for this type of testing. Is that right? Do you remember that? Do you remember?
Yeah, so how many is that? I'm didn't know the protocol.
I'm not asking you a question. Sir, I'm not asking you a question. When I'm ready to ask you a question, I will. I know what I have to ask you.
Even,
sir, please, I have the floor. Okay. Listen, I can ask you any question I like when I like. That's my prerogative, and I'll let you know when I direct them to you. Okay. So if you have anything to add, I ask that you please respect my time and allow me to finish my question to Mr. Cotto, who has been working all day and probably wants to get home to his family. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cotto.
Actually, even what happened is that the protocol wasn't known.
We didn't know.
Protocol meaning what to test, how much,
when, where,
what's the process.
Of course, I understand.
So we didn't want to do the wrong thing.
We didn't want to.
But we still started the procurement of the company.
No, we didn't start that. I want to get to that. We didn't start the procurement of that because the RFP didn't go out till I believe it was June. So from March to June, we had no RFP. We weren't even looking for a company.
No, we were writing the RFP.
You were writing the RFP. So from March to June, March, April, May, June, for 3 months, potentially those 3 months while we were waiting for the RFP, children, thousands of children, just in school 1, there's nearly 1,000 kids, I believe between the 2 buildings, over 1,000 children were drinking from these 5 water fountains. 141 water fountains district-wide. That's thousands of, not only children, but staff members as well. From those 3 months were lost. And I sat here and I asked that we provide bottled water and that we test immediately. Eventually the RFP came through. We still don't know how we're going to pay for it, who's going to pay for it, Trent's going to reimburse us. Eventually, we went out, we tested, and now here we are. So we lost from March when we started this discussion, all the way through August, through summer school, and children in all those buildings were drinking from those contaminated water fountains. Would you say that's true?
Mr. Trujillo,
I'm asking a question, Mrs. Baffles. Would you say, Mr. Cotto, that there's a possibility that...
I think that there's a conversation.
I don't understand why you don't let me ask the question, Mrs. Baffles. You know why? Because you don't have children. If you had children, this would be... Yes, it has nothing to do. If you had children in school, you would understand and have everything to do.
It has nothing to do, again. Okay, I'm not going to argue with that. First of all, you shouldn't even have to put my personal business out there. Mr. Cotto, you said that. Thank you.
It's our kids.
Thank you. So it has nothing to do with me having children or not, because if I want to do this because I want to see the right thing, do the right thing for our children and our community.
Absolutely not.
Don't make it seem as if that, oh, I don't have kids, that I don't care about everyone else. And I'm not going to argue with you. to make her remarks and her comments about the library so that we can move on. Thank you.
All the stuff is I have to say with our kids. This is our kids, they are mine. Can we bring bottled water? Can we bring bottled water? As parents, can we have that choice?
I'm going to ask the audience to
They don't want to talk
refrain from
about
speaking.
this.
Again, this is not a meeting of the public, this is a meeting of the board. So you're allowed to be
They don't want to talk about
here.
this.
You're allowed to be here to witness our meeting, okay? So I'm asking that we continue our meeting.
So don't interrupt, Mr. President.
Okay, that's okay. I will move on
Because
with the
he
meeting.
knows President,
I will
I'm
move
gonna
on with
ask
the
you,
meeting.
can the parents bring bottled water?
Superintendent's gonna speak about this right now.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Gonna be a president.
We do not have any reason to believe that our children are not safe in our schools and that our drinking water is not safe. That is the whole purpose of having presented to the community the data from 2013. 3 years ago, we were not required to test our water, yet we did test our water. We were aware of what areas needed to be remediated. Our Division of Plant and Property, under the leadership of Mr. Cotto, remediated all of those sites. 3 years later, here we are again. We once again are proactive, and prior to the regulation being issued by the State Department, we test all of our schools and immediately remediate. That is our responsibility, to ensure that we are addressing issues as they arise. All of our schools have been properly tested, and all of the schools, for the results that have been posted and shared with our community, have been remediated. We do not believe that there is any cause for concern. I think Mr. Cotto has done an outstanding job reporting both at the August 25th board meeting and again this evening with regard to the actions that the district took in order to address this issue. I believe we have been proactive, we have communicated, we have remediated, and we believe that all of the sources, whether it is a water fountain, whether it's a food prep in our kitchens, at this present time are safe.
Yes, but we waited. And that's my point, we waited.
Yes.
We didn't have to wait, we waited. We allowed the board attorney to interject his personal recommendation into what we did, and we waited. From March to August, we did not test. While children were in school drinking from 141 contaminated water fountains. You cannot deny that, that is common sense. If we tested and they are contaminated in August, you have to believe they were contaminated in July, in June, and every other month. We waited, you don't want to admit it, but people aren't dumb. They know we waited too long. We failed them by waiting. And we're failing them today by not allowing parents to feel comfortable and letting their children come to school and know that we're providing safe water. The question is still out there. Parents are concerned. If you spoke to some of them, you might know that.
Oh, it's a dead issue though.
Mr. Williams, please.
Everything is Mr. Williams. You ever talk to this house or Mr. Williams? Mr. Williams wasn't elected here, Ms. Matthews.
Mr. Chairman, you're making the same argument. I'm going to have our attorney make our comment.
Ms. Matthews. You indicated before that I was interrupting you. I hope you let me speak for a couple of minutes without interrupting me. We've all, I'm sorry?
I can't guarantee that. Depends on what you say.
Well, that doesn't surprise me because you're turning this into a campaign event.
Nobody comes to speak.
Yeah, I heard what you said. You're turning this into a campaign event. Would you like, what you don't want to hear are the actual facts instead of your revisionist history, which you're turning into a campaign event. You should stop. Why don't you listen to the facts? No, I'm not. You are. No, I'm not. What I'd like to do is speak the truth.
Yes. Okay, what's the truth? In March, do we know what the water supply was like in March?
It's not a problem.
Do we know in March?
If you'll let me speak, you're not going to cross-examine me, sir. I'm going to let you know. I'm going to let you know. I love the fact that you say it's improper for people to interrupt you, but you constantly interrupt others. You are absolutely.
You're babbling.
Well, you are the one who's babbling, and I'm going to tell you right now. Let's go through the history of this, and let's do it in a way that's not revisionist. Why don't we speak exactly as to what happened? The district got ready to go out and test for water in the spring. And when we examined the number of outlets that they were doing, we were informed that the state was about to issue a new protocol for expanded testing of all the water outlets in the district. Instead of waiting, we prepared the proper kind of RFP that allowed for proposals to test all the water outlets. We did that in advance of the regulation being published, as opposed to what others have said.
3 months for an RFP?
We did it in consultation with the state. We did it legally so that we were not in violation of the law in terms of procurement.
It sounds like you billed us for a lot of hours.
No, sir, it sounds like we did it right. You know, it sounds like we did it right. You know, you think that you can constantly make these comments from the peanut gallery, which is what you're doing right now, instead of letting me speak. And I'm going to tell you something. It's not right. People will listen to the truth, Mr. Trujillo. They will listen to the truth. I'm speaking the truth. We did no, listen.
You want us to believe. People are not naive. People are not naive. You're not fooling anyone with your legalese talk.
I haven't talked anything.
No, you're not.
What I've told you is that we follow the law. We follow the law. We consulted with the state.
There was no law. You just admitted there was no law. It was in preparation.
We followed the law with respect to how to procure.
There was no law to follow, sir.
We followed.
You admitted it yourself.
You know, you are completely out of line. The law about procurement, how to hire a company.
That's because I stand up for the parents I represent, okay?
You campaign at board meetings. You campaign at board meetings.
You're not the first
You're
one.
campaigning.
You are not going to come in here and run into town and run bullshit all over everybody in the city because you have your personal interest to protect, which is your law firm and the legal hours you build this district.
You're going to call the question of my legal fees after sitting there and voting for millions of dollars in legal fees that we've cut down on? You're going to question my legal fees?
My attorney is telling me what I did. Really? You're out of line, sir. You should be fired. You should be removed.
Yeah, exactly. At this time, I want to go through the agenda, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy?
I think that happened a long time before I got here, sir.
You should have been quiet the whole time you've been here.
Thank you, Mr. Trujillo. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to go through the agenda tab 1A, the Board of Education August 11th minutes. Please, someone to move, please.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bathurst, I just want to make a comment. I asked.
Yes, you did, Mr.
Just in
Ferrero.
regards
Your last comment.
Listen, I know it's a heated discussion, and it's a heated discussion for many people. Many of us sit here, and parents at home, or people that are here right now. The issue, I think, and that we have at hand is to try to figure out a way, because we're here to set policy. So we need to set down. We went through a process that we know we failed in. We took too long when we could have acted a little faster and maybe adjusted some of the RFPs that we would have done had we had a company already moving on in April, let's say, during this process. So I think what we need to do now is sit down and figure out what would be the appropriate action to take or process to have in place should this happen or should something like this happen in the future that we need to do prompt action on, that we can actually take steps faster and not wait 3 months in order to actually take these steps.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrero. I will make sure that we reach out to you to start talking about some of those actions. So I appreciate that. Again, tab 1A, Board of Education minutes.